Over the weekend, a federal judge said she's inclined to grant former President Donald Trump's request that a special watchdog be appointed to supervise the DOJ's review of documents seized during the FBI's raid of Mar A Lago. U.S. District Court Judge Aileen Cannon also ordered the DOJ to provide a more detailed list of the items taken from the former president's estate, as well as a status update of the department's review of the materials.
This comes after the Justice Department officials suggested in a filing that Trump's request for a special master comes too late because the department's review of the documents has already happened. Joining us now to weigh in on these latest updates is Trump family documentarian and director of Unprecedented, Alex Holder. Alex, welcome to Rising.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here. What do you make of these latest items in the news?
But I think with Trump, there's this moment where it's like, it's not actually that surprising because it's always, you expect this of him, right? But then at the same time, when these things actually happen, i.e. a former president of the United States has his house raided by the FBI, it's like, really? I mean, so, I think for me, Trump is he's quite easy to understand, right? In the sense that these documents that he took with him to his home, they have his name on it. So in his mind, they belong to him. And why should he give them to anyone else, right? I don't think it's, this idea that the conspiracy theories that he's, selling secrets to the Russians. I think he's literally doing what he's been doing a lot, which is he's showing it off to the guests that are at his house at this members club. So, I think that's who he is. And it is obviously pretty ridiculous that he's doing that, and he'll face the consequences for his actions.
Well, it does seem to be a bit of a win-win for there to be an oversight, to the extent that there are people who think that this is a politically motivated search, that the import of the documents that he has in his possession is being overstated to try to paint Donald Trump as someone who is not just negligent but treasonous. If there is someone overseeing the process that can give the imprimatur of legitimacy that might be lacking for some conservatives, it seems like a good thing. Would you agree, or do you think that's some kind of admission that the FBI is on a witch hunt here?
I mean, I think if we go down this road of the FBI being politically motivated, I think that's a very dangerous conversation to have. And I think that the only reason we're even saying this is because of 4 years of Donald Trump. I mean, it's madness to think that the FBI is politicized in any way. And what is bigger than top secret, right? As in, people are saying it's exaggerated. I mean, it's been admitted that these documents have the highest classification in the American system. So you can't really get higher than top secret or SCI or whatever. So clearly these documents should not have been kept at his home. And the idea that this is politically motivated, it's just the typical Trump strategy, right? We're going to use this technique to try and garner more support, anti-establishment, etc. I mean, it's a typical demagogue, right? But at the end of the day, he kept these documents incorrectly in his private residence when asked for over a year to return them to the appropriate places. So then to say, oh, they're now going to force entry into my home, and the reason for that is because it's politically motivated, is absurd. I mean, he had every chance to give them back to the archives and to the various authorities.
I don't think the idea that the FBI is politically motivated is absurd whatsoever, given their behavior on a number of subjects, including something we've talked about on the show a lot, the Hunter Biden laptop story. Now we have whistleblowers coming forward saying the FBI slow-rolled that investigation on purpose, thwarted it, gave some indication to social media companies on a variety of subjects that they should be wary for Russian disinformation, told 50 of them, former law enforcement, including the FBI, signing a letter saying that this is Russian disinformation or looks like Russian disinformation. It looks politically motivated to me. Maybe the Mar A Lago raid is not politically motivated, but one of the reasons people are having a hard time believing it is because I think a lot of the actions by the FBI do look politically motivated.
I think the FBI it's probably quite difficult for them to defend themselves in this, right? I mean, these are ongoing investigations, and I think we only get to see a piece of this, right? And I think if we know more about what's going on behind the scenes, which would obviously be difficult for them to reveal because it would scupper their investigations. It perhaps would look less politically motivated. You know, we're looking at this from a very specific point of view. But at the end of the day, you know, I mean, this is not with respect to, firstly, I mean, Hunter Biden is really an irrelevance in the grand scheme of things. You know, he's not politically involved in any shape or form whatsoever in the administration. He's the president's son. And frankly, you know, this is a conversation about the former president of the United States keeping classified documents in a members club. This is not about, you know, the president's son who has, you know, a somewhat colorful or I don't know what, you know, life, right? I mean, this is a completely, you know, we can go down the whataboutery, you know, game if we want, but at the end of the day, I think, yeah, I mean, I've been to Mar A Lago, and it's probably the last place you would ever want to keep anything sensitive. And
why do you say that?
This is a very serious issue.
Why do you say that? What is your experience at Mar A Lago for those of us who haven't had the privilege?
So, I mean, so firstly, it's actually very beautiful, and it is a very large estate, but it is a members club where people can go and play golf and have dinner and lunch and enjoy themselves. And they can also invite guests as well to this place. So it is a very open place. When I was there, I had total free reign all the way through the building that I was in. The Secret Service are there to protect the president, but it's not like in the White House, but they're everywhere. And you know, the guests are so close to the president that, in fact, during the interview at one point, he actually stopped the interview and asked one of his assistants to go out and tell everyone to be quiet because they were literally on the other side of the door. So, you know, people are roaming around freely, and he loves walking around and seeing the guests because every time he goes outside, they all do a round of applause. So, and he loves the adoration. So he goes out, people are having dinner or lunch, they'll do a round of applause, he'll go back inside, he'll go out again. So yeah, it is an interesting experience. It's also his pride and joy. He loves it there. It is something that it is his home. And the idea that it was raided is obviously something that's affected him and would affect him very significantly. But yeah, I mean, it is a complete free-for-all. And the idea there's anything secure in that place is ludicrous.
Okay, but I don't think there's been much suggestion so far that someone could pick up one of these papers and somehow launch a nuclear weapon or something. They were classified and improperly taken out of. But the FBI has made no claim that it seems. I mean, you were suggesting that the Hunter Biden stuff is kind of trivial or kind of a sideshow, and I take that point because it's salacious and it's not. It's to the extent it's for drug conduct, I don't even think that should be illegal anyway. But this is similarly it might be a procedural crime because he didn't perhaps do everything he was supposed to be. I mean, he will say that, and then his allies will say that he is the one who gets to decide whether papers are classified. Now, he should go through the right procedures, not just say I've declassified them in my head or whatever some of his allies said. But that sounds to me similarly like not something that perhaps is technically a violation of records laws that he himself made stricter in order to screw Hillary Clinton, but not a kind of calamity or national security crisis or risk the way some are making it out to be.
I agree. I think that a lot of the time there is a huge amount of hyperbolic language used with respect to Donald Trump. And sometimes I think it's actually not the cleverest move because there are actually very serious issues that I believe that he's responsible for that are far more significant, and that definitely I agree with that point. But at the end of the day, though, we have laws, right? I mean, that's how this country runs, and if you pick and choose the laws that you want to follow just because they're not particularly important or they're not as exciting, then I think again you're going to go down a very dangerous path. At the end of the day, I agree that there is a huge look. Yes, I don't think that the random fella that's going to play golf has access to nuclear codes or could fire off a nuclear missile. I think that's ludicrous. I also think it's ludicrous to think that Trump is doing something, i.e. showing these documents to foreign adversaries as well. What I think is more serious is the fact that Donald Trump has consistently and always believed that he's above rules and the laws than everyone else, right? He approached the presidency in the same way that he approached being the CEO of his private company. And that's something that's incredibly important to realize. And if he's doing this, then what else is he doing and what else has he done? He never saw the presidency in the same prestige as his predecessors have. and that's clear, right, in terms of the way that he has consistently denied the results of the 2020 election. So I think all of these little things add up to a very big thing. But there's also very big things that he's done as well that are very serious. But yes, I think sometimes the exaggeration or the hysteria is probably not the most beneficial thing to do in these circumstances.
Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll have more Rising right after this.